you. Today's session is very special and unique because it is a growing concern for parents and adults and senior citizens regarding screen time. Now, screen time came into our lives in the 90s, but we have also seen certain change in habits and lots more. Just to move on, let me introduce what is screen time. Screen time is where earlier when we had televisions and so on, we had it couldn't be moved from room to room or carried along with us. But when mobiles came in, people had it handy so they could carry it wherever they went with it. But it brought along with it risk to heart, risk. Children also have faced risk of brain tumor and cancer, low sperm count, eye health, ear health, and it affected techies on the job too with back pain and wrist pain. And we also noticed that children's habits change a lot. For example, you can see this child glued onto the mobile and playing games or video games and such things which really affect because your focus, eye focus is so strong, it affects the brain. And also we must remember at this point, how do we listen or talk on the mobile? The mobile is meant to be heard, spoken to from the left ear and not from the um, right ear, because when you speak on the mobile, it is be spoken like this and not from the right side of your brain, because it is something very important, because the right side of your brain controls most of your activities, and that is why all the neurobic activities that we do is controlled by the right brain, and the left brain controls languages and logical activities. So it reduces the risk. And one more, the mobile instructions given is we must not use the mobile for more than 6 minutes in a day. But we have seen the reverse in habits when mobiles are used, we have used it for a longer time, and then came the restriction where we felt everyone is not social interaction has been reduced, and everyone is glued to their mobile, either playing video games or other activities and looking into Netflix and things like that that affects the social interaction. Now, this has also affected communication and mental health because people have not been able to express themselves freely, because people need to talk, they need to share their feelings, and also they need someone to listen out to them when they need them. But mobiles have changed all that. And yes, and at home, people, it is a situation where parents find it tough to remove the mobiles away from the children, and also they feel it tough to keep themselves calm, because you need firmness and calmness when we set the carrot or limit the usage of mobiles to children. And here comes the role of parents as role models, that they too should have their time limits for using the mobile. And it is important because once the child gets used to it, it is the dopamine that makes that activity so special that they want to get back to the using of mobiles and screen time over and over again. And this is something right now you will find children of all ages using mobile, including 2 years old. Their eating habits have changed, or feeding habits have changed, and you will find them with the mobile in front of them and eating. So parents have found it an easy way out, but it is not to be, because mobile emits radiation. Mobile radiation is also known as radio frequency, because it's a form of electromagnetic radiation that is emitted by mobiles, phones, and other electronic devices, where the health effects of mobile radiation is being studied, and some of the facts that parents and guardians should know is the risk to health. And for that, what we say is the mobile should be kept away from our body as far as possible. And also to keep it away from bedrooms. Even the Wi-Fi connection that you have should be away from the bedroom and in the hall, where the larger part of, and also, 1 minute, the Wi-Fi and mobile, your laptops and mobile should be kept away from your bed and also from your bedroom. There must be restricted areas where you can use the mobile, that will reduce the risk to health. And while using the while you speak more than 6 to 7 minutes and more on it affects the brain and affects the central nervous system. So this is to be avoided at all costs, because we have seen rise in autism in children, all because of the change in brain, things that change inside the brain when the mobile is used for too long. We also seen the rise of infertility cases because of lower firm.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. Are you switching between slides, ma'am? We are still in the first slide.
I'm switching between slides, ma'am. You can't see the slide?
No, we are still on the first slide. Yes, now I can see. Yes, thank you.
The thing is, when it comes, we have seen the risk to heart health, also risk to the brain and tumors and cancer, increase in cancer. Earlier, we used to read that in the States, out of 10 cases, 8 of them used to have cancer. But today we see it in and around us that people are affected with cancer. We also see lower sperm count that has resulted in infertility cases and rise in infertility cases. We also see the eye health has also been affected, and we see a lot of children with glasses, and also it is a part, it is due to radiation. And also we find that because ear health, how do we take care of ear health is the hearing part is when you're glued to the mobile and you're hearing it constantly, we need to use headsets to avoid greater damage to the ear. And yes, and those in technical jobs also find they have backache because they're constantly sitting in one place and doing work. They also have wrist pain. Now, two things we have to take note of is we have to move. We have to take breaks in between if you're on in front of the computer or in front of the mobile, where we have to take breaks and work. And yes, there are also restrictions that we need to take care of when it comes to this, because in schools, we need to, where there are smart boards and things like that, we need to restrict the usage of those things constantly, because constant use of smart boards also can emit radiation because you're using the internet. Now here comes, and mobile is a silent killer. Radiation is a silent killer. We have seen cases of increase in obesity, we increase in eye health, heart disease, cancer, and lower sperm count that has resulted in infertility rates flourishing. And then we also have this. What is to be done? Prevention is better than cure. Distance matters, because when the televisions came in, we knew what distance we are maintaining between the television and how we are watching it. But when it came to mobile, the distance came closer, and because our skins are delicate and also our brain of children especially, the skull is not so thick, so the radiation penetrates deep. We need to use hand-free options like headphones and things like that, because this has to be encouraged, and distance from body, because when you sleep, some people have it, keep the mobiles and also put on the alarm and keep it next to them on their beds. This is to be totally avoided. And yes, mobile, when is not to be used near metallic surfaces, maybe metallic cupboards or even in cars. As far as possible, it is to avoid these places when you use the mobile. And then, yes, we have to place our screen time restriction, not to have mobile usage during you're eating, dining near the dining area, and also near when you go before you go to sleep. Restrict the timing, and also that will help a lot. And then we have to choose the low radiation devices which are tested and approved of. And then we see this is a constant concern. Are we concerned about this? How close this mother is holding the mobile close to the baby, and she has no clue about the harm that radiation can do. Because now from 2G we went on to 3G, 4G, and now we are going on to 5G. All strong radiation sources. And then, yes, we need a digital detox included as a part of our routine. And for that, I'm just showing a video of the latest in a village where they use digital detox and got a lot of benefit from it. This village tried out digital detox at a fixed time in the evening, and they've seen the results.
Or other members of your household using phones, tablets, or playing computer games right now. You know who you are, admit it.
Can you hear?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear. But now the video has stopped. Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, I think it is not.
It's not playing.
It's playing now.
Are you or other members of your household using phones, tablets, or playing computer games right now? You know who you are, admit it. If so, this next story may give you all a little bit of food for thought. A village in Western India has introduced a nighttime digital detox. Residents have to switch off all their devices by law. Well, far from being up in arms, the idea has won the widespread support of those villagers. And as our senior international correspondent John Irvine found out, it's having some really positive results.
This is a seemingly unremarkable and quiet corner of Western India where the old ways of doing things still have their place. At the heart of the area is the village of Mahite Vadgao. Around 3,000 people live here, and despite being far off the beaten track, they stay in touch with the rest of the world thanks to modern electronics. In the early evening, almost everyone can be found at home watching screens of various kinds. We all know the drill. But the thing that makes this village a place apart is what happens every evening at 7 o'clock. A siren heralds the start of what they call a digital detox. By law, all screens have to be turned off. Anyone glued to their television, computer, or phone must become unstuck and do something that doesn't involve any of those devices. In this household, Mum admitted that she used to be addicted to watching TV soaps at this time. Do you miss them? She said that actually she now watches them during the day instead. But she also said she has come to appreciate family time during the digital detox, which lasts from 7 until 8:30 p.m. These people are heading out on patrol to enforce the law. On the basis that the villagers cannot be left to their own devices, these enforcers go house to house to make sure the ban is being observed. They have the power to fine transgressors, but are yet to do so. Critics might regard this as an invasion of privacy, a case of Big Brother watching you to make sure you're not watching anything. But this initiative has widespread support throughout this village.
What has this helped in is better study time, better family time, and better quality time for people where they can sit and sit together as a family and also get to know each other better, express and communicate better. Well, this is what digital detox helps people in. And then you have, this has not only improved the quality time, better communication, because people need to speak to one another, get to know each other better. And this also reduces radiation in homes. And work from home also brought in this so close and caused a lot of health hazards. And as I told you, as I said before, it is heart health, eye health, hearing, and low sperm count, cancer, and thing. Now, how do you monitor your screen time? What do you need to monitor your screen time? You need an app called Action Dash that will monitor your entire thing digitally, how much time you use your personal time into looking at the screen. It could be anything, YouTube, internet, and it will tell you how much percentage of your time is getting diverted from productive and creative activities. Because this is where we need to know how much time is really getting held up with screen time. And screen time has its own toll in the long run. And what comes under screen time? Screen time addiction that affects us is Wi-Fi, the mobile, the television, and also the remote video games that children play. We have to set limits how long children can use these video games, etc. Because this is where it comes in. And now when it comes to Netflix, people are getting used to it because all the programs that are done online is done with the intention of hooking people onto the screen. And let me tell you an example where Steve Jobs, when he introduced the Apple phone, and then a journalist interviewed him, and in the end he asked him, your children must be getting used to the Apple phone. He said no, because they're not being introduced to that. Because this is what happens when it comes to technology. They are sold to others, but they're not used in most of the homes. Same thing that you will find with the Facebook CEO not allowing his family to use the Facebook. So these things we have to be beware of what is being given to us and how we can avoid getting affected by that. And yes, now when it comes to infants in wombs, they pick up sound from outside. And what are they picking up today? Earlier, they used to hear a lot of religious songs and things like that, and even words. The mother used to talk, so they used to pick up speech faster. Today, it's been reduced. Children need to start. If the mother has cultivated the habit of talking to the womb, then the children's speech is faster. This is one point, and the next is that the benefit of limited screen time. Why is it has a lot of benefit is it improves physical health. Because when screen time is reduced, the children engage in physical activities, and it also improves their sleep time, because limiting screen time between bedtime and also where they get enough sleep, children are not irritated. They don't show up with temper tantrums, etc. And also it enhances social skills, because social skill is something where you're spending more time on electronic devices, and face-to-face interaction is being reduced. And all this has a say when it comes to mental health. And yes, mobile radiation, as you know, affects the kids, and they're more suspect sorry, more risk to children, because their the skull is thinner, and eyes also are delicate. And then you have what parents should know about radiation is radiation emitted by mobile devices is measured in specific observation rates, which is the amount of energy observed by the body which exposed to electromagnetic radiation, and the limit recommendation of mobile devices is 1.6 W or less. The World Health Organization what should we do when it comes to mobile usage and restriction is to set up clear guidelines around screen time and enforce them consistently, because limiting screen time and the number of hours you can use them. The instruction booklet clearly says that more than 6 minutes in a day, we are not supposed to use the mobile. It is an emergency tool where we are stuck in an emergency where we have to make calls. It is not to be used like landline phones, but this has also impacted the posture of children. You will not find them, you will find them in distant postures, but not the proper correct posture, which in fact affects the spinal cord, which in turn causes a lot of back pain, knee pain, and all those shoulder problems too. And that is why clear guidelines should be told to children how to use the mobile, and encouraging children in other activities apart from what we normally do is when the child has to get engaged in other activities. It could be book reading, competition, having quality time within the family, have playing games, word games, and all those things, and being role models to children, because healthy role model habits like limiting our own screen time and engaging with children at home can build better and healthier relationships. And yes, we should be aware of what we see online and how that can impact us in the long run. And we must restrict areas like bedrooms and meal areas where we should not allow screen to be allowed, and even kitchens, because now even kitchen has become a place where the ladies take in for recipes, and it is totally to be avoided. And the drawbacks of screen addiction in children include physical activities, which reduce and increases obesity and other health problems, sleep, and it enhances spending less time on this encourages social and better social skills. They have time for themselves and better personality development skills, because screen time robs away your own personal time. And here, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are you done with the session, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so can you expand? Yeah, thank you. So we have some questions lined up here, and can you turn on your camera, ma'am? Is it turned on?
Yes, ma'am, it's turned on.
Okay, yes, yeah, I can see you. So most of the questions are already answered by you. It was a very informative session, and I really like the point where you told us about the Action Dash app to check the screen time. So which is very informative actually. I don't know like whether most of the people know about this app and can check the time we spend. So the first question goes like this: how many hours of screen time is considered as an addiction?
It is when it affects the normal social interaction. You will find these children not willing to interact when there's a family function or anything. You will find these children not willing to get involved. They'll be with their mobiles. You will find even in halls, function halls, children are so glued and they don't care whether there's a crowd, whether there is things. It is only that when when there's even in children, when it comes to school and the teacher finds that their work, homework, so you can find out from homework whether they're completing it on time, whether they're paying attention in the class, whether they even their exam results will show you something is wrong. Test results itself will show you they are not focused. When the focus
So how do parents manage screen time in their homes, ma'am?
Yeah, parents have to set restrictions. What has happened now in this generation is they feel allowing the mobile to feed the babies, to keep them occupied is, so getting them involved in other activities is a must. As a family quality time should be made a practical thing, because when it becomes too late, you need to go in for therapy. Instead of that, if you're able to cut down slowly, because I have heard parents say once they go to school they will stop the screen time, because in school they spend 5 hours and naturally that is cut down. But if the child is not willing to cut down on that, then it becomes a problem, because
Right.
screen time is to be monitored. We have to at least know what they're seeing, because dopamine is something which attracts them and keeps on bringing back to the screen time. It is something that brings them back to that. And screen time was, as I told that mobile is to be used only for 6 minutes in a day. But what is happening in our homes today? It is alarming that we are, as a silent killer at home, we are not aware of the what damage it can do. And if we are not able to cut down on that time by being role models ourselves as parents, and we we have to sit down and talk face to face with children. Maybe when controlling the three things to take care of: how we manage our anger when we are talking to them, how we calm ourselves down, whether we count up to 10 or 50 and then bring up the topic with them and say, this is where you're not allowed to use the mobiles first, and this is where this is how we can change our family quality time to something different.
Thank you. So are all kinds of screen time equally harmful? Common sense says that violent video games may be the most harmful variety, whereas educational apps are actually useful. What's your view, ma'am?
Violent things, see, the brain doesn't know what is real and what is not real. When it sees violent things, it takes it to be real. And then what happens to the person, in fact, is that their sensitiveness reduces. Because the brain is not able to perceive what is real and what is unreal. And that's why violent movies and things like that, the individual changes. The perception of how they see violence or real crime changes. So you would have heard, you have seen so many cases where when something has happened, accident happened, they're happily recording on mobile and showing it to the world, but not helping out the individual. What happens is, this is where the real and unreal becomes a part of the DNA of the individual, and that's why it is dangerous. Violent movies, blue films, all that we have to be very careful of, because sometimes we don't know what is shown on the screen that they see. In violent movie, what ads they show, we do not know. So that is why we have to be extreme.
So how can parents know about excessive screen time? Is it just the duration of use, example, number of hours, or is there something more to it, ma'am?
See, in action dash, where it shows them for what app they have spent so much time per day. The entire count comes in that, whether it is internet, whether it is Gmail, whether it is movies, whatever, it will all show it up in flip form, how many hours is spent. But then we also have to realize as children grow, we have to give them their space as well.
Right. So how can parents motivate themselves to regulate their own screen time use?
Don't use time use is better to do it, use the screen time in such a way, maybe changing timing. Because if you are also, as a parent, when children are glued to screen time, you are also glued to screen time, then who's going to monitor the screen time?
Right, ma'am. So that ends the question answer round, ma'am. Yeah. School Journal of Education and schoolreformer.com. Thank you for the talk and for patiently answering all the questions. Though you have covered most of the questions already in your talk, you were very patient answering them again. We also thank the audience for participating in the event, and we will end the session now, ma'am. Thank you.
For this wonderful opportunity, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.